Thanks for listening to the AC12 podcast, proudly presented by Little Caesars. Code 1099 bundle, classic pepperoni or cheese pizza, crazy bread, and 2-liter soda. Code LCFREECC, free crazy combo with any pizza purchase. All right, I am Mike Luke, joined by the captain, special teams captain of the best team in U of A football history. I know 94 might be a little upset, 93, I get it. But I'm going to say it right here, the great Barrett Baker. Hello, Barrett.
Boy, you really started off with controversy there, Mike. We're going to have a lot of 100 guys that are pretty upset with you, but I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with you, so let's bear down.
Yeah, let's do it. That's the only way. Now, I want to give you a lot of credit here. In this day and age, it's everybody needs good friends. And, when things are down, it's easy to, to dismiss and poo-poo and this and that. And I said from day one, I would love to be wrong about Brent Brennan because he's a fantastic person. I tell Ben Theanis that all the time, that in the game of life, you guys are winners. But, Barrett, you need to take a victory lap, my friend. This team, don't be modest. Don't be modest. This team's 8-3. You stuck with it through thick and thin. You said they were going to get there. How did we get there, and how did we get to this point, and what did you see big picture that would lead to this point?
It's a great question, Mike, and I think there's so many levels to that we could talk about it for 2 hours, correct? Right. But I think if you go all the way back to what Brent Brennan is as a person, as a coach, and the model of coach that he grew up with, so to speak, those guys taught him how to do it right. And so I think the foundation is actually there. A lot of people point to his record at San Jose State and say, mid-major, never won. That's just not accurate, though, because if you exclude his first 2 years there, right, where he won, I believe, 3 games and lost, 20-something, what did they do after that? And then you have to look at San Jose State. They're not able to go in and recruit the players that USC is recruiting, that Arizona is recruiting, generally speaking. So you are winning with a roster full of solid 2 or 3-star players. And yet you still have to play USC in your out-of-conference schedule. So what did he do in conference? They won the conference, right? 2 or 3 under his leadership. So I just think that the foundation is there. And then, not to rehash the old things, but he came in late, very late in a hiring period. He throws together a staff, and now you've got to try to convince 100 kids to either stay on board or believe in you, and you just haven't had time to cultivate those relationships. So then obviously last year, and he would be the first one to admit this, right? It didn't go great. There was just a roster that had a lot of superstars on it and very, very little depth. And so when the injury started to hit and you lose Jacob Manu, and then, we could go through a list of the number of people that we lost. Right. It just went bad. But I think that's where you have to have the faith, correct? You have to look at Josh Oglesby and say, that guy was a Broyles Award candidate when he was at San Jose State. So last year, it didn't look right, but he had 7 different offensive line combinations, 7 different combinations out of 12 games. What have we had this year? Solid 5 for the most part until last week. Right. He knows, and then just looking back real quick and saying it didn't work with Coach Aquina and it didn't obviously work with Coach Favors, but coaching's tough and you got to make tough decisions and you got to put the team above the individual. And he did that when it came to revamping all of the coordinators, making tough decisions, bringing in Coach Salavea, Coach Bringale, Coach, our new tight ends coach has just been a fantastic coach as well. Right. And so the warning sign, or not the warning signs, the building blocks were there, and then Geiska Crowley and Fletcher Kelly, they hit big time on their offseason evaluations in revamping this roster, and it's worked phenomenally.
Yeah, let's talk about the evaluation, because a lot of these guys were not guys that were super highly rated in the portal rankings, however you want to get it, but they've been massive difference makers. Just look across the entire offensive line. Ty Buchanan obviously had some starts at Tech, but he's been amazing here. Tristan Bounds, another guy, didn't really play at Michigan, but it's always like with Bill Norton. Just because somebody doesn't play at Georgia or Michigan doesn't mean that they can't help us out here. You look at DeCambra, the line's been solid. You look on the other side of the football too, and you're getting guys like a Deshaun McKnight, who I don't, like we talked with Coach yesterday, I didn't have a ton of expectations for him. He's been amazing. They were able to buoy the secondary as well. The evaluation by this staff has been top notch.
Well, and even going back to Cayenne de Cambra, he never played center before.
Right.
So now for Coach Oglesby to move him to a new position, which is the leader of that five, and calling protections and being on the same page with Noah and playing at just extremely high level. Chuba, okay, Chuba was on the defensive line last year.
Right.
Chuba hadn't played offensive line since high school.
Right.
But you look at his PFF rankings, like he is as solid as it gets. So for Geiska and Fletcher to be able to pluck Tyler Buchanan out of the portal and say this is a guy that's going to be our bookend left tackle and play at the level he's done so. And so Max Harris at linebacker. I mean, we could truly go down the roster. Trey Spivey at wide receiver, Nunu Watley, Hudson, like good gracious. And so really, I don't deserve any credit. Those guys deserve credit for being able to say, year one, and Coach Fish used to say this, year one is actually year zero, or I've got that backwards, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm,
and it does. It takes some time to get your stamp onto things, to put your culture into things. And I think Coach Brennan has said this time and again, and he said it yesterday. Those that stayed, Traden, Dalton, like those that truly stayed and bought into it. And then those that took the leap of faith when everyone had us 15th out of 16th in the conference, right? Left for dead. Brennan's got, this and that. There was a lot of negativity. And yet the beauty of the one good thing I would say in today's landscape is that you can flip a roster quickly with the NIL and the transfer portal. And, once they hit, it does remind me of that 98 squad in the aspect that their chemistry is fantastic.
All right, we're going to get to that 98 squad. I want to get down memory lane a little bit. Yeah, for sure. Now, but let me ask you this, though. I think the other thing, too, that's impressive is what he was able to do with the coaches, because it wasn't like he just said, okay, we got to clean house or we got to bring everybody back and just do it again. He looked position by position. He said, Joe Salavea can be a big upgrade for me here on the defensive line. And I want to talk about Gonzalez, and I say this pretty much once a show, but I'm going to say it again. I've been doing this a long time. You've been an Arizona Wildcat a long time. I've seen a lot of DCs, even going back to Marcel Yates, that would say, we're going to play aggressive. We're going to get after the quarterback. And then you watch it, and you're bringing 3 or 4 max, and you're playing 15 yards off the line, just hoping that you're just giving up 10-yard. Danny Gonzalez ain't doing that. When he said we're going to be aggressive. And he said a quote, Barrett, that I thought was really interesting. He said, my role is to get pressure. He said, if we're not getting it with 4, we've got to get it with 5. If we're not getting it with 5, we're not, because he says, I'm not going to leave these guys out there to cover for, 15 seconds or whatever the case may be. And man, he's been true to his word across the board on that, Barrett.
Well, and here's what I love. And again, the internet's full of receipts, right, Mike? So, I mean,
I got a lot of them.
I know. And it's we're all well-intentioned. That's why you're called a fan, right? We're fanatical about it. Mm-hmm. But when Coach hired Coach Daggy, and then there was a huge lapse. And when he did hire Coach Gonzalez as the defensive coordinator, I mean, there was riots in the streets, correct? Like, What did he wait so long to just internally promote? And, he's not good at linebacker, and he wasn't good at special teams. And there was a lot of negativity when it came to his hire. But the past is indicative of the future. That's an expression, correct? Mm-hmm. So what has he been as a defensive coordinator? As the defensive coordinator at ASU, lights out. Defensive coordinator at San Diego State, lights out. Defensive coordinator at New Mexico, lights out. And he played the game. Right. And so he came up under Rocky Long, and he runs the 3-3-5, and everyone panics like 3-3-5. My God, you got to be a 4-2-5. You got to be a 3-4. You got to be anything but the 3-3-5. The guy is a magician, correct?
Right, correct.
Because what he has said time and again is the picture that we set for the offense before the snap and then post snap is going to be very, very different. And you look at Sawyer Anderson from Baylor, who is a seasoned quarterback that is, nationally recognized. Right. And what did we do to him in that second half? We changed the picture. We meaning the players, correct?
Exactly. And the thing about it, too, is that Gonzalez has done an amazing job on the fly throughout the season. Like, there's been a lot of games, you're watching that first quarter and like, man, we're just going to get run on. We're just going to get run on. And then they figure something out. It was kind of like, kind of against Baylor. It was a little bit different, but it's like, man, this is going to be a game we're going to have to score in the 40s to win. No, they're not going to give up any points in the second half. I mean,
Cincinnati, same thing. Go back to BYU.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked pretty rough. It's 14-0. We have the rain delay. They don't score in the second and the third quarter, and we're literally one fumble recovery away from, having a very different feeling about that game.
Oh, for sure. So, I mean, you look at it, and there's a lot of different competing aspects to it. Now, let's talk a little bit about Noah. Noah's the man. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I mean, you watch a guy, and people are always like, is he really that good of a person? Yeah, he's that. Like all the stuff that's volunteered by Brennan about how he only wants to speak after losses and things like that. I guarantee you, there's a lot more behind the scenes. But I'm going to ask you this: for a quarterback that is, before we get into everything else, for a quarterback that's 5'8", to do what he's done, throwing the football, and it's not like it's an academy quarterback where you're running and you're doing the Jamel Holloway thing. You are throwing the football 40 times per game. I've never seen anybody that size that can do what he does, Barrett.
I mean, I think the closest example that I would be able to say that I witnessed was Keith Smith.
Yeah.
Keith wasn't, right? Keith was probably 5'10", 5'11", but the same trait in the fact that he had a rocket arm and he had some elusive escapability. He was elusive in the pocket.
Right.
And I think sometimes, and stay with me on this one because I don't think everyone agrees with me.
What do you got?
Let's say Noah's 5'10", okay, 5'9" to 5'11", anywhere in that particular case.
Mm-hmm.
Ty Buchanan's what, 6'5"?
Right.
Okay, Tristan Bounds is 6'8". Okay, we've got Deuced is 6'5", and Chuba's probably, and Cayenne, they're the shortest of the two. But if Wooten's in there at 6'6" or 6'7", I mean, the point being, it doesn't matter if Noah is 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot. He's not seeing over the guys in front of him.
Correct.
So he has a great idea of actually recognizing defenses beforehand, being on the same page with Coach Dagey. And that's what Coach Dagey has talked about. If you trust it, right? Trust it, throw on time, that your guy is going to be where he is if you read the defense correctly, which he does fantastically. And then he's got a rocket arm. So when you put all that stuff together, the height is a little overrated because it doesn't matter unless he's Dan McGuire from San Diego State at 6'8". You're not seeing over the guys anyway. Right. So you got to see what the defense is. You got to believe it. You got to throw on time. And he is phenomenal when it comes to that. And it's fun when you watch a guy like that throw because going back to Keith, if you had to warm up with him before practice or something, it would hurt your hands. A quarterback's arm is different.
I remember when Keith started, and and we're going to get to that obviously, but that freshman year exactly because he's coming in from baseball, and generally when you see a smaller quarterback out there, you don't. And again, this is kind of short-sighted thinking. I get it, but you don't generally think, man, this guy can really throw the ball. And then he comes in there, and you're like, oh, that's why he's a first-team parade All-American. I get it now. It makes sense.
Yeah, you watch Noah, and the ball comes out differently. I mean, we got 4 guys on the squad. Mason, Bray, and Sawyer and Luke, and they're all talented. They all have arm talent. Everybody at that level has arm talent, but his is just a bit different.
What I like, too, about the receivers now in the last couple games, they're making the 50-50 catches. They're getting – I mean, Chris Hudson's obviously been fantastic as well. Chris Hunter's really stepped his game up as well. I think going into the season, I think a lot of people thought the receiving unit could really be a strength of this team. And the last couple of weeks, you've really seen them take that next step. There haven't been necessarily the drops that we've had before. And they're getting the ball. They're making tough plays. They're getting touchdowns. It's been a unit that Noah and the receivers seem to finally be on the same page, and it's a beauty to watch.
And to your point, some of those catches have come in critical times.
Yeah.
They really have. When Hunter goes up and makes that catch against Cincinnati, the game is still in doubt at that point in time. It's a dogfight at that point. So I think the timing of those catches, and there's never a great time for a receiver to drop a ball, correct?
Right.
I mean, because you could go back to Cincinnati. Gio drops the ball on second down on a crossing pattern, which would have been a first down. Instead, we don't get the first down on the next play, which is third down, and then we miss a field goal.
Right.
So if he catches the ball at second down, the drive continues. So there's never a good time for drops. But going back to Coach Brennan, I love what he talks about. The receiver doesn't feel good about himself at that point in time.
Right.
Because they know the impact of that drop ball. And so when you walk off the field and your coach lights you up like, no offense, but Coach Rich Rod used to do to his players. What does that do?
Yeah.
What does that do for that player?
They already know they messed up.
They already know it.
Right.
Why did you drop the ball? And so that's that coaching point that this coaching staff has done a great job. Coach Wade has done a fantastic job of blending, Hudson, Hunter, Nunu, Trey Spivey, Phelps earlier in the season. Now you got some of the freshmen, Gio and Izell, that Mizell that are stepping up. I mean, it's a diverse Luke Wysong, a very diverse wide receiver room, and very productive at this point.
I've always felt at Arizona, if you get the right kind of the equivalent 3 stars or whatever it is, and we'll talk about your team back in the day. I mean, you look at this. Dennis Northcutt out of Dorsey comes in here as a defensive back. Doesn't have the major LA offers. Jeremy McDaniel comes in out of a JUCO in North Carolina. That dude's an NFL guy when he gets here, and it's like, I still remember the Cal game against like almost 300 yards or whatever, where it was just like, what the heck? Trung Candidate, another situation, comes here defensive back. Then you put him back there. Everybody thinks Leon Callan's going to be the starter, and because he's the parade All-American. Then you look on the line. You got Big U. You got you got other guys. Tomey did an amazing job of finding those guys and moving them around to get into the positions that they needed to be in. And we didn't even get to the defense yet. We'll get to that in a little bit. I mean, you can obviously speak to that. But I always feel at Arizona, if you got a good coach and you get that right kind of player, the template has been there. Tomey's shown you the template. I mean, to a certain extent, Jed showed you the template as well, as to being able to get that. And I think you're starting to see that with Coach Brennan.
Yeah, and I do think things are a bit different today. Because you have to figure out, how do these guys fit your scheme specifically?
Right.
And so, Coach Fish was always about be a pro, it's personal, pro. And so if you're a defensive end and you're not 6'4" at a minimum with long arms, you're not going to get recruited to Arizona under his type of recruiting prowess. Okay. It's just not going to happen because they're very analytically driven. Now we are too, to a degree. But here's what you miss out on when you are strictly that way. You miss out on Brandon Sanders.
Yeah.
You miss out on Teddy Bruschi. You miss out on Marcus Bell.
You miss out on Rob Waldrop.
Yeah, great example there. So you have to have a little bit of leniency within your own program that if a guy is popping on film, regardless of whether he's 6'4" or 6'2", how does he translate to the next level? And so to your point again, Geiska and Fletcher, they're behind the scenes and most fans aren't necessarily going to know their importance. But, Bailey is not a prototypical defensive end for us. Came in from a lower level of football. What did we need him to be? Did we need him to be a starter that's playing 75 reps a game? No, we don't. Right. You need him to come in and give you 20 from a pass rush component and or get some tackles for loss. And that's what he's done. So I think, Max Harris, tackling machine, is Mahdi at Texas State. 2 kids from Texas State that before the season, it's like, who? Man, I love watching both of those guys play. They're producers.
Well, how about Quincy Craig, Portland State?
Yeah.
And this guy comes in here and he's catching passes out of the backfield. We had Zoe on before the season, and he's like, and he said something that was interesting. He goes, I don't care where a kid's from. I care what I see on film. And he's like, this kid can catch, he can block, and he can run. He's good. And
all three.
Lo and behold, it's like, if we can just get a guy from Portland State like that. Thanks, Coach. I mean, go ahead.
I think that does really show, though, that in today's world with the number of kids that are out there, and there's a lot. I mean, boy, it was a VHS tape that you'd have to try to put together, correct?
Yeah.
But nowadays with Huddle and this immediate technology, there are so many kids that are playing at an FCS level or Division II. And potentially even Division III, they could actually play, and they have played at Power 4 conferences and done really well. So sometimes the difference between, that type of player, it's an inch, it's 20 pounds, whatever it may be. But I love it when you see those stories because Quincy Craig, he has a chip on his shoulder. He played at Mater Dei. He was a producer there. Why did he end up at Portland State?
Right.
Because he doesn't run 10-8 and 100-yard or 100 meters on the track, right? He runs 11-2, and I don't know if those numbers are accurate. I'm just using them for example. But there was one thing missing from him, but it's certainly not missing on the field. Yeah. And when he busts those 2 runs to seal the deal against Kansas, awesome.
And you know what's cool, too, is that it's kind of like with the Danny Gonzalez thing where a lot of running back coaches will say, oh, I want to get 3 guys the ball. And then you look at the end and one guy's got 22 carries, another guy's got 2, and the other guy's got 4, whatever. And a lot of times it works. If you got these 3 guys, it doesn't matter going into the game. Ked might get 15 carries. You might get that from Ishmael Mahdi. I mean, one week Ishmael Mahdi is the player of the week in the conference. Then you got Quincy Craig after that. And then you've got, obviously, Risano, who's obviously a little healthier now, but the running game has just been dynamic. I mean, they can wear you down with those running backs.
Well, and they each bring a little something different. And so, I mean, I don't think I'd like to tackle Ked. That would be an unpleasant experience as a defensive back.
Right.
And then the flip side is that, is Marty, if I'm a step slow on my read or this or that, he's going to be past you and waving to you as he blasts through the hole. So, I mean, they really do bring something different. And I would say that they're very unselfish because everybody wants to be the guy. Right. I mean, no one likes to come off the field. If you're out there and there's 75 snaps that are played, you want to be out there for 75. Right. And so Coach Zoe has done a good job of making sure it's, again, this goes back to Coach Tomey, and Coach Brennan is also the team. Yeah. Right. We need to win the game. We need to win the game because when you're 8-3 and you're putting the team ahead of the fact that I got 20 carries or I only got 10 carries. And so they've done a great job of playing the hot hand.
All right, so now you got ASU coming up here. I feel it's the obligatory. I need you to tell the Kelvin Efon story, please, at midfield before the ASU game, and we will reference from there.
Okay. I mean, we're going out for
Chris
the
Mack and Kelvin.
Okay, so he's Chris's defense, Kelvin's offense, best leader I've ever been around in my life, and I'm special teams, and the three of us go out to the coin toss at home against ASU in 1998, and they got 4 captains, and this had some history because this goes back to the Glenn Gable cheap shot incident against Daniel Greer in 1996. And Kelvin, I mean, every coin toss prior to that, they're very cordial,
right.
Shake hands, whatever, nothing memorable at all. And Kelvin starts jawing at these guys when we get about 10 yards away from them and just lighten them up. And I kind of went wide-eyed, like, what the heck am I listening to here?
Right.
And he stayed on them. And it was basically, what are you looking at? Because I'm going to be bringing this up the entire 60 minutes.
Right.
And at one point, I think the referee finally said to him, if you say another word, you're going to get an unsportsmanlike before the game. Right. So that was KE, right? He was to use Coach Brennan. He's redlined. Yes, and I mean, he was redlined plus some. And it did set the tone. And KE, like I said, the best leader I've ever been around in my life. But I'll never forget that because he didn't tell us beforehand that, hey, I'm going to talk a little something to these guys beforehand. It was coming from the heart, and it was emotional for him. And it gives me chills to this day.
It's funny. I always joke with him because, I used to, because obviously came here as a basketball player, and I used to see him at Randolph from time to time. And I just remember thinking, man, that is the last person in the world that I would ever want to mess with. Honestly, people see him now, and it's awesome. He's the community guy and everything.
Big smile,
big smile, a huge megawatt smile. But Kelvin had some of that South Dallas in him back then, for sure.
And he was solid as a rock. I mean, he was just built as physical as a fullback. If he hit you, for sure. Yeah. But that was a great moment. I do like to share that story as much as possible because of the fact that, you don't know what's going on in the middle of the field, but thank goodness there was not cameras on that particular coin toss.
Yeah, for sure. Now let's talk a little bit about this game then. I actually like when I think both teams have a solid foundation. It brings me back, honestly, to kind of the mid-90s where you had Bruce Snyder, you had Dick Tomey, and every other year it seemed, or every couple years, one team was really good, but they were never embarrassing. And people forget that. Like with, a down year for Dick Tomey was your 6-6, 7-5. You weren't going 2-10, whatever the case may be. But the teams were generally good though, and you saw that, Rose Bowl and then Arizona top 5 finish. When you see Dilly and when you see Brennan, is this something that you could see being a sustainable, fun rivalry going forward for the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, and I think what I love about that is that, I mean, again, if we were talking 12 months ago, things would be different, correct? But both fan bases, I think, truly do believe, and they see right now, like, these are the right guys to lead the program moving forward.
Right.
And they don't have to, bemoan the other squad and talk mess, so to speak. You want to have an edge to it. But yes, I think that ASU feels very good about Dillingham and what he's done to recharge that program and get people to buy into the program. And to this point, same thing there. I know that there's still people that are not quite bought in, but get bought in. Right. Pack the stadium, and when you do that, this rivalry really can be magical. And I mean, I just get almost sick to my stomach because it does mean something. Right. I want bragging rights for that year.
What's the key? What are the keys to this game? When Captain Barrett Baker's watching this game, what are you looking for and saying, that's our key to victory?
Well, I mean, I'll start with the low-hanging fruit being a special teams guy, but you can't have explosive plays go against you when it comes to special teams. You can't give up a kickoff return. You can't give up a punt return, those sorts of things. So just no big momentum plays in the special teams category. I think after 11 games, this is who we are. We've got a bad blank defense, correct, that makes adjustments. And then we've got an offense that can beat you on the ground and through the air consistently. Right. And I don't know the numbers, but I mean, I think we're averaging 13 more points a game this year than we did last year, and giving up, 14 points less or something.
And the turnovers forced is just, it's night and day.
Yeah, the turnover soared. We are a darn good team, but they got talent too. And I think obviously with Sims, if we can make them one-dimensional, and Coach Gonzalez talks about that, we're going to +1 you in the running game. Mm-hmm. The offset is that Sims is a running quarterback, and that's a neutralizer to +1 in somebody. So, that's not great, I guess I would say. But if we get somebody like Tia Savea back for this game and we can be firm up front, then I think that, I like the way it's trending for us. And I just think our offense right now, again, pick your poison, because how are you going to stop us?
And what I like about the defense, too, and that Andy Gonzalez has done a great job of this, he's got a really good secondary. He's talked about it before. He said, I have an elite secondary. It gives you a lot of opportunities to be able to do different things out there. And, you watch somebody, somebody who came in as a walk-on and earned a scholarship, you got to feel a soft spot in your heart for somebody like Traden Stukes, who took the exact same, course.
And so let's talk about Traden Stukes. I know you had a guy on a few weeks ago that talked about NFL guys, and he said something like Jenna Smith. Traden Stukes is the NFL guy. Okay,
I mean, did I tell you what Akina told me?
He said he's the best player on the field. Correct?
Yeah, and this is off record, but I don't think he would really care.
Yeah,
he said, I've never coached anybody quite like Traden Stukes. He said, whoever picks him, and he said it could be 6th round, 7th round undrafted, he will stick. He's going to be like one of those guys that the Patriots picked all those Belichick years, and you get him in there, and he is and you're going to find out, too, that he's actually a really good cornerback as well.
Yeah, he can do it all. So playing that nickel position for us right now, I mean, I go to practice. I see the scouts. The scouts are there to watch him. He's long. And again, coming back off a major knee injury. Right. But Genesis, Dalton, Traden, as you won't find 3 safeties that are better than that across the country. Dalton's a tackling machine, 18 tackles, seriously. Mm-hmm. Just 2 interceptions the week before. Dalton's playing. He's kind of sometimes the one that's left out, correct? Right. But he's certainly not left out by the other offensive coordinators. They know where 43 is. And then the revamping of our cornerback room between Cole and Garnes and Dansby. These are 3, I wouldn't say cast-offs, but these are 3 guys that came in and took a chance here. And man, that back 5 is just playing lights out.
And you know what I like about them too? I like how they conduct themselves. They act like they've they've been there before. Like again, without throwing any dirt, I mean, there were players last year that I don't think were totally bought in, and like they would get beat over the top, push the guy out of bounds, and then start celebrating. It's like, well, I mean, you look at these guys, Barrett, and they're mad. They're bummed about that. They're not celebrating if that happens.
And I've never understood it as a defensive back. If they didn't complete the pass, I'd want to get up and have a pray sign, because thank gosh they didn't complete that pass on me in front of 50,000 people, correct?
Right.
And I've never understood the back, like when the ball falls incomplete because a guy drops it or something or whatever it may be, and we shake our fingers like, no. Yeah. The only time you should ever do that is if you actually had a pass breakup, correct? And even at that, everyone saw it anyway. Just walk back and get lined up and do it again. It's crazy.
Speaking of which, I need to talk. There's some younger people in here that think I'm just being old guy Mike, being a stooge and whatnot.
Curmudgeon.
Yeah, can you please tell people how great? There's a lot of people that understand it. I've always said, and again, when I wasn't old enough to understand Rob Waldrop and what he meant to a defense, but I've always said that Chris McAllister was the best player that I've seen here. And I get people in the comments that are like, oh, he doesn't compare, or it doesn't compare to T-Mac. It's a different position, all that. Can you please just talk about Chris McAllister for a minute and what just made him so different than almost anybody in college football?
Well, so our defense at the time with the double eagle flex, it was man free 99% of the time. I mean, it was just man-to-man coverage, which means that for 60-plus snaps a game, you're guarding their best receiver. And that's what he did, is he would get matched up oftentimes against the best receiver. And when you say shut down corner, that's the definition. Okay. I mean, people didn't succeed when they were throwing against him, so much so that they had to go to Kelvin Hunter which has put a lot of pressure on K Hunt because they knew that it's
poor Kelvin Hunter, who did a great job holding up.
He did.
Right.
But it was futile to do that. And then the fact that he's 6'2", 195 pounds or whatever, 200 pounds, and he was physical in the run game.
Right.
And I think that's if you knew what our defense was at the time and just the value of having a guy that could really play that field corner and shut down that entire half of the field, it was a special thing to watch. And I'm laughing because, I mean, I never took steroids, but it wouldn't have mattered if I did all of that stuff. I would never be as good as somebody like Chris.
And this was back in an era too, and this was with no disrespect, but you had the Antoine Winfields who were like 5'9" that were still, and then Chris Mack comes in here and he's 6'1". He's returning kicks. The first kick of the season, he's returning for a touchdown against Hawaii. Exactly. I remember watching him. Like, oh wow, that's a heck of a way to start the season. But he was just different. There's certain guys that have come here, and that's no disrespect to T-Mac. I mean, T-Mac's the best wide receiver in school history. I'm just saying that, you know, when somebody tells me that T-Mac's unquestionably the best player, this and that, I'm like, there's been some really good players that have come through here, my friend.
Yeah, and I mean, I love it because, again, it shows that you're a fan. It shows that Arizona football is important to you. But really, comparing a cornerback to a wide receiver to Brewski to Waldrop, I mean, each of these guys in their own right has been a dominant player that's had a positive impact. And that's not even including the guys that were before my time, the Ricky Hunleys and the Chuck Cecils. And so let's just say this. They're in that circle of honor. Their names are on the stadium for a reason. And it's a salute to their greatness.
I've always been amazed at the ability of your team, 98, to be able to manage both those quarterback situations. Because the thing that was stunning to me about that was that Keith comes in 2 years previously. He's the freshman. Everybody is like, you know, and rightfully so. They're like, man, this guy's awesome. Then OJ comes in as a freshman the following season, and I remember a Hansen article talking about, you know, do we have a Heisman candidate possibly on our hands, because he was just, 19 touchdowns, 5 picks, you know, and then they were able to mold it together. And, you know, I think Keith by the end of the season was clearly the one, but OJ was vital to what you guys did. Would two quarterbacks be as selfless today as they were back then, Barrett?
I think the old expression, if you got two quarterbacks, you got zero. Right. And I think to your highlighting that, going back to 97, I mean, it was Keith Smith and Brady Batten.
Yep.
And really, OJ was
Brady Batten started in the bowl game and won.
Yes, he did. And OJ in camp was actually getting reps at wide receiver. Right. So that was the crazy part about 97 is that then Keith gets hurt, Brady gets hurt, and all of a sudden OJ comes in and just plays lights out and had a phenomenal deep ball. That was the biggest thing that I can really remember about OJ is that, you know, his touch and his length, my goodness, he could. So now fast forward, and I think the credit to those two guys is obviously, you can't overstate that, but the credit also goes to the offensive teammates that didn't get into camp, you know, Keith's camp or OJ's camp. Right. You're right. Something like that, it has the potential to technically divide you. And we didn't ever have that happen. We were able to stay with the team, and whoever had the hot hand, you know, that was the one that led you. And so, I mean, I think they both had obviously great careers. They both brought something special. And it would be fun to see somebody like Keith in today's world in these defenses or in the rapid fire offenses where they're spreading everybody out.
I always say this because I get people that'll ask me all the time, like, because I never saw a ton of Cliff, so I can't speak to it. But I always say that, you know, and Noah will have a say in this when he's done. I've always felt the two best QBs that I've seen here were Keith Smith and Nick Foles. You know, different situations. The thing with Keith that was so amazing is that this was in an era where quarterbacks didn't complete 65, 68% of their passes. I mean, OJ had an amazing freshman season, and I think he completed like 49 or 50% of his passes. Keith Smith in today's age, Barrett,
danger.
Danger. And we're talking about a guy that is nationally known throughout the country with as accurate as he was, with the flair for the moment, with the mobility. He was just something else, man.
And I wouldn't say underrated in any capacity, because if you know Arizona football, you know K-12, right? You know somebody that he was the business. Right. But yeah, I mean, and we've had some great, and the beauty of being a quarterback is that you have Keith Smith that can do it all, run or pass. OJ's got a cannon for an arm. And who is the next generation of Arizona Wildcats quarterbacks after OJ? Jason Johnson.
Pulling up Washington.
Come on.
Yeah.
And so Jason can come in there and doesn't have that arm,
right.
but throws the ball on time and would dissect defenses because he knew where to go with it. So, I mean, we've, Willie, I mean, Matt Scott, Nick, I mean, just on and on. We've had a good run of quarterbacks, and tip of the cap to Noah, because he's, to be as a junior, the all-time record holder for touchdowns thrown. And going back to Coach Daggy, their synergy and their ability to work together, it's exciting for next year. I mean, it really is.
You know what I like about him too, and then just one last thing about memory lane, and we'll go back to that. But the thing with what are we going to talk about? Oh yeah. The thing also with that team though was that you just had so much talent. I remember that UCLA game, and obviously that's it's the one fly in the ointment. But UCLA came into that game, and they had, I think, in 15, 20 NFL players. I mean, when Jermaine Lewis is out and Deshaun Foster is your running back, I mean, that shows to show you. But I remember thinking in that game, man, UCLA is about as talented a team as there is in the country, just from a pure, and Arizona is right there. I mean, did you know when you were playing that you were playing with 17, 18 NFL guys?
I mean, I think when Edwin Mulatalo, Yusuf Scott, Stephen Grace, Bruce Wiggins, I mean, Deshaun Polk, Joe Tafoya, Paul Shields, I mean, Marcus Bell, you could literally go down our roster and say, my gosh, we've got some, but do you know it at the time? I'm not sure if you do, but it was 100 guys that loved wearing the uniform and going out there and playing for each other for 60 minutes. And that damn UCLA game, 3 minutes of bad football. And if we played them any other time, that 3 minutes of bad football.
That's also, though, when you know how great Chris McAllister was. Like, the only play that I can ever remember where it was like, because he was on an island, like you said, all season. It's the only. Yeah.
Danny Farmer.
Danny Farmer. Yeah, it's the only play that I can remember. Yeah.
On an option left pass. It looked like an option, and so that was disappointing. But and then I think we fumbled. They scored again. I think we threw intercept. I mean, it just went bad south. But again, it was 3 minutes of bad football, but still a fantastic team for us.
Yeah, I was going to say you finished fourth in the nation. You're going to be, it's good. All right, so let's get a prediction here, Barrett. What do you got here? What do you got, Barrett? What do you for a prediction this Arizona ASU game?
I mean, I never bet against us. I believe it. Right. I think that we've seen enough from this squad that on both sides of the ball that we are solid as could be. But these games are always tight too. And so I don't think it's going to be something, but I mean, this is a 31-27 type of game to me. And I do think that we come out on top, but it's going to be 60 minutes of hell. And so we got to make sure that we play, like Coach Brennan said, on the line, right there on the line, but you can't go over the cliff.
Right. No, that's a great way of putting it. And then as well, too, talk about off season. When you got if you win this game and you got a bowl game, either way, you're going to have good vibes going into the off season. As you've seen, Brent Brennan's recruiting very well. This is a very nice recruiting class he's come in. And you look at it last year as well, their evaluation. Some of these guys that they offered when they were 3-star guys, Barrett, they became 4- and 5-star guys that, your Terry Sheltons of the world. This year, though, you get those players and you could say, listen, man, we just went 9-3, 10-3. We're losing a lot of players. We've shown that we'll play new guys that'll come in as well. That's a heck of a selling point there.
And listen, I never go negative, but we've got work to do, right? Let's finish this season strong on Friday and do what we need to do. But we lose 4 offensive linemen. Right. We lose several guys on the D line. We lose the whole back end for the most part. I mean, but that is actually a selling point. Like, hey, come in and we're going to give you a chance to compete here. Right. And the staff has to do a great job of, again, hitting it in the portal, but also developing that kid that, yes, he's 18 years old right now, but what's he going to be when he's 20 and he's had 2 years with Coach Cullen Carroll, pushing him in the weight room. Right. And so you got to continue to develop the high school kids, and they've shown that they can do it. And I mean, the sky's the limit. I think this coaching staff works well together, and the behind the scenes stuff compared to the on-field things that you're getting from the staff, it's a recipe for winning. And that would be the last thing I would say is that you got to get on board as a fan. Right. We really do at this point. And the past is the past, but there's still people that are like minimizing the positives and amplifying the negatives when one thing goes wrong, that we didn't use a timeout here or there. get on board, because it takes the village to make a winning program, and even the online stuff, it does have an impact.
Good. I got to give you all the credit in the world, my guy. Seriously. I mean, because
No.
it's not, no. Because it's not easy to stand against the masses and basically say, listen, I know what this is going to be. I know, trust me, this is going to be. And you did it. You never wavered. And we're seeing the product right now. And again, that's why I'm sitting here in my living room talking about it. And that's why you played Division I football, my friend. But again, congrats. It's awesome to see. And like I always said, at the end of the day, too, just like yourself, these guys are winners in life. And, and that matters to me more than anything. We've seen a lot of crummy people just in athletics come through, and when you see a good group of guys, it's awesome to see. But Barrett, you've been a rock for them, man. And like I said, I appreciate you, my man.
We're going to keep back in the A, right?
Yes.
We'll keep looking for the girth out there, and we will bear down for life.
Yeah, bring the girth, my friend. I appreciate you, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. Talk to you.
See you later, Mike.
All right, see you, buddy. Thanks again. Yeah. Oh, Barrett's awesome. Yeah. That was it was a lot of fun. I got to give that guy a lot of credit, though. Like I said, I mean, it's not easy to sit there and basically take some of the arrows, but they did just that, and you're seeing the product there on the field, so that's pretty cool to see. All right, now we got John Brogan in here, but now we got to get to a couple reads here. We got to pay some bills here first. Got to pay some bills. What do we got? Talk to me, Cody. Talk to me. Bills. What's that Beyonce song? Bills, or something like that. Okay, now, Copal, Tucson's contemporary Mexican food, CopalTucson.com. We had a watch party there. It was a lot of fun. La Jolla came there, and he talked, and he actually asked who's better right now, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Mo Krivas. That was not a nice thing to say, but we're going to be having another one again. McDeath was in there as well. Mexican food delivered nationwide at mymexicanmenu.com. Use code AZ12 for 10% off. Book your next party or corporate event with Copal. Check it out, Copal. All right, what else we got? Copal sounds like it's somebody's name, like from the South. Like, that's Copal. Okay, now, we've got Alpha Inc. Anesthetics right here. Here's the great thing, and we've got training going on as well. Rachel does an amazing job. She does all kinds of stuff with ink, anesthetics, and, blushing. You name it, she's got it. Her business card is right there. But also, personal training, though, that is really where she's making making an impact here, besides just the aesthetics. The great thing about it, too, is you watch these people, they come in, and she's going to stay on you. This isn't a situation where, I'm not just going to take a couple dollars from you and then just say, get lost, hit the road. She's going to be checking in on you almost every day. You can tell she definitely knows her way around the weight room as well. And that's like I said, it's a good community type environment, and she specializes basically everything to what you want. Do you want to get bigger? Do you want to lift weight, or you want to, tone down? Whatever the case may be, Rachel Day is your one. Now, do we have the other graphic there, Cody? Yes. Team Alpha, just lift. But again, a lot of people's lives have been changed by this, so check it out. Maybe do a 2-for-1, where you get the workout and you get some of the aesthetics as well. She's great, and like I said, we're going to keep pushing this one. Okay, now, what else we got? We got one more here. What else? All right, Baggins. Brogan, you need to go to Baggins. You got a lot of rugrats running around the house.
We go to Baggins decently, regularly.
Yes. Use code AZ12 for 15% off. Join our VIP text club. Go in there and ask for the Dennis Walsh special. Well, actually, don't ask for that. But go in there and use code AZ12 for 15% off, and you will get you will get a nice little discount. Check it out. All right, Brogan. Now let's talk some football. Arizona ASU. I'm just going to say this right now, and I know people are going to be like, Mike, you're overreacting. Blah blah blah. I think Arizona's just better than ASU. I know that there's going to be excuses, this or that. What is that term? Availability is your best athletic ability, or do you know what I'm talking about? Like it's something like that.
I don't know what that one is.
It's like availability is your best. I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you play with who you got. Arizona has basically been, Arizona's had a lot of injuries. ASU still got an NFL quarterback. They've still got home field advantage as well. This is there's no excuses in this game. I'm sorry. Whoever wins deserved to win, period.
Did you just admit that Jeff Sims is an NFL quarterback?
I'm just quoting Dilly, man. Dilly's been putting it out there and I love Dilly, but Dilly's been saying that he's an NFL quarterback. So every time ASU said, yeah, we got a crappy quarterback, all I say is, hey, man, you got an NFL quarterback. I don't know that we have that. So, yeah, it is what it is.
Your best ability is available.
Yeah, that's it. Your best ability is availability. Yeah. But again, I mean, it is what it is, Brogan. It's part of the game.
Yeah, and I think with ASU, what you learned kind of early in the season was how big of an impact Scadaboo had to their team and how kind of dependent they were. And then you saw that show up against Mississippi State early in the season. However, you got to give Dilly a ton of credit for being able to win the games that they've won since Levitt went out, which that's a whole weird situation in and of itself. But I agree with the fact that I think ASU's too limited to really be better than Arizona.
Right.
Doesn't mean they can't win. This game's been weird in the past, and weird things can happen, and anybody can win this game. But if I just look at the two teams, super simple on paper, Arizona's better.
Yeah.
Give ASU Levitt, an NFL QB, then I may like ASU's chances
Another
more.
NFL QB.
A real NFL QB.
Not an AI QB.
Right. But with Sims, I think what it's going to allow Danny to do is basically let his 4 in the secondary do what they do, because Sims isn't the most accurate passer.
Right.
And then he can commit to stopping the run, which if you look at the last ASU game, they ran for, 1,000 yards or whatever they ran for.
Right.
And so I think that's what Dilly's game plan is going to be, to try to run the crap out of the ball and take some air out of the game and slow it down and keep it low scoring. But I trust Danny G's adjustments in this game and him being able to just kind of dedicate more people to the run. I think ASU is going to have a hard time in this game.
All right, Big 12 Bobby. ASU is bigger, stronger, faster. They haven't played to their abilities yet, but Arizona is physically overmatched. See, when I watch, and I know it's a kind of a parody account, I get that. And we love you, Big 12 Bobby. You're the man. But I'm going to disagree with this, because when sooner or later you are what you are. And this is a team that won by 3 against West Virginia, that was down 3 in the third quarter against an awful Colorado team. This is a team that, they've escaped basically every single close game that they have. They've escaped, and these have been some dogs. These have been some bad teams. So sooner or later, you are what you are. Now, they can definitely win this game. I'm not saying that. But at the same time, there is something about ASU where sooner or later, you are just kind of what you are.
Well, and if you look at Arizona, we haven't really played awesome games yet, but they're still winning. Our special teams has been terrible for numerous games this year, but Arizona's still winning in spite of all of that. Right. Whereas ASU, I feel like, is the opposite, where they're not playing good football, but they're trailing in almost every game, and they're finding ways to win. And that speaks, again, to Dilly and his coaching and those things. But eventually, when you run up against teams that are actually good, solid, Arizona doesn't turn the ball over a ton, they force a ton of turnovers, you tend to lose those games when you're letting teams hang around again and again and again. So again, when I look at this game simply, I just don't know what ASU can do to control the game to win. Again, if they run for 300 yards, they're going to win, but I don't know how you do that against Arizona.
Yeah. Now, TJ Van Martyr, this is an interesting case, and I'm going to see, I think there's a little nuance in here. I've watched way too much Jeff Sims over the years. He was at Nebraska. I've seen him. Okay. He says, we have to be mindful that power runs are the defense's bugaboo, and Jeff Sims, if he doesn't fumble, can run the rock. It's different, though. When you watch somebody like Bear Backmaster or Backmeyer, that's the kind of guy that is basically giving Arizona a bunch of trouble, because he's physical, he runs up the middle, and he's getting 8 to 10 yards each time. Sims is a glider. And again, I'm not saying Sims is clearly faster, but Sims is a glider. Sims isn't the guy that is going to lower his shoulder and try to, wear down the defense and barrel you over. And he's a little bit more like Avery Johnson in how he runs the football. That's where, to me, it's a little bit different, Brogan.
Yeah, and same thing with Houston, right? And Wigman. Them and BYU essentially said, we're going to load the box and we're going to run straight ahead with our QBs.
Right.
Now, I like Dilly a ton as a coach, and I think he's relatively smart as a coach. So I get Sims as more of a glider and more of an outside guy, but ASU's going to run the ball between the tackles with Sims. They would be foolish not to.
I agree.
But it's going to start with Brown. They're gonna try to just power run a ton. Who's the last running back to give Arizona a bunch of fits this year?
LJ Martin.
Yeah.
But again, that's BYU. That's what they do. I'm not going to.
I think this year, historically, though, running backs don't typically burn Arizona. It's usually, even in that game, Bachmeier was the one who made all the big plays when they needed them. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I don't know. Again, I just don't know what ASU does unless they figure out how to run the ball for 300 or 400 yards. I don't see how they can sustain enough drives to beat Arizona.
Now, you mentioned Rayleigh Brown. Rayleigh Brown is a problem. He's very, very fast. He's the one guy. There's two guys on their offense that worry me, obviously. We'll get to their defense. Rayleigh Brown and Jordan Tyson. Tyson's obviously a stud. He's not T-Mac, but he's really good. But Brown, like I said, you've got to be able to stop. You got to be able to stop him because he is a guy that if he gets into the open field, he's gone. You're not going to catch him. He's got a real explosive factor to him, and he's got moves as well. You can tell some guys when they transfer to from a bigger school, you can tell like, oh, you transferred here because you suck. This dude looks like the kind of guys that USC recruits.
Yeah, and they were talking about online about Shane Iguano and like as the running back coach and how he's basically got like 6 pros in a row he's coached essentially. Yeah. Scatterbu was different because you could just give him the ball, run straight ahead, and he was going to break, 600 tackles on his way to 200 yards. Rayleigh Brown is different because he's like the home run hitter, game-changing running back. Mm-hmm. Whereas Scatterbu, you just knew it was going to be 8 yards, then 6 yards, then 12 yards, then 30 yards, then 8 yards, and they just kind of out-physicaled you with him. Right. But with Brown, he's different, and so I could see him potentially giving Arizona problems, but I think Arizona's going to be able to basically devise their entire game plan. Not to take anything away from Tyson. This is more about Sims as a passer, and it's similar to how I think about Kansas State. They didn't commit anybody to the pass. We could blitz a lot. We could play the run a little bit more. And they were going to rely on Avery Johnson to beat him with his arm, which he clearly couldn't do.
Right.
That's kind of how I see this game going. I think Sims is going to have to complete passes to be able to win this game, and I just don't think he's good enough to do that.
Well, and that's the thing is that if ASU had another wide receiver, but Jordan Tyson's a stud. My only concern if I'm an MNFL team with Tyson is that he's injured a lot. I mean, he's dealt with a lot of injuries, but I mean, he's about as good as there is in college football. If you want to say he's not Ryan Williams or Jeremiah Smith, fine, he's third. But at the same time, this will be an interesting one. I don't really worry about their other wide receivers, though. And this is another one, too, where I trust Danny Gonzalez here and what he's going to be able to do. He's probably going to have some safety. He's probably going to have some safety help over the top. But that's really the only one that worries me there, Brogan.
Yeah, agreed. And again, I'm not necessarily – if Levitt's QB, then Tyson's a real problem. He's probably going to be a top 10 pick in the draft.
Right.
First or second receiver taken. Like, he's awesome.
Right.
But with Sims, I think you're going to see a lot of screen type pass plays, a lot of slants, a lot of get the ball out of his hands quick, short passes. I don't think they're just going to be trying to carve Arizona up down the field, which makes the corners' jobs a little bit easier. And I think you're going to be able to blitz the crap out of ASU, which is going to put more pressure on Sims to have to make throws. So, again, I'm more worried about the running game. And, I don't expect ASU to run for 32 yards in this game on 30 carries. Like, they're going to run for yards. They're a good football team. But I don't think they're going to run for 300, which is what it's going to take to win.
Yes. Now, yes, T-Burn. Scat reminds me of Toby Gerhart. In college, yes, but Scat's way more explosive than Gerhart. Scat, it's funny because you look at a white guy and you're like, all right, they're all the same. But when you watch Scat can catch, Scat can run, that Scat's awesome. That's really all I can say to that one. Now, let's talk about the keys for Arizona on offense, though. And let's get a couple more reads in here. We got to. We didn't pay any bills for the first 40 minutes, so we got to pay some bills. Hold on. What do we got? Talk to me. All right, Longview. Listen, I will endorse John Brogan and what he does in his life as a father, as a businessman. I will not endorse Andre Veras. I will endorse Andre Veras as a father. I will never endorse Longview, though. You might have seen a video going around. It's AI. I don't believe any of it. Now, did you recently change jobs? Let's talk through your old 401k and learn about your new retirement plan. Trying to balance retirement savings with kids' college funds? Check it out. Let's build a strategy that covers both without overstretching your budget. Again, we'll never endorse Andre Veras, but we'll highly recommend everything that he does. Andre is the man. All right, what else we got? All right. All right, Brogan, Comfort X HVAC. Does your AC work?
It's relatively new and it works great. It works great this time of year when it's 60 outside.
I was going to say, well, you're not really testing it, but if you're like Brogan and you're saying to yourself, all right, well, I got a great AC, I don't need to worry about it. But there's a lot of people out there like Kobe that don't have AC, and we need to be thinking about them during this time of the year because it's going to catch up with them at some point when it gets hot again. Everybody out there, get with Comfort X HVAC. If your AC is not brand new, I would literally probably just get rid of that AC and just get Comfort X HVAC because it'll make me look good, and it is they do a good job, and you'll get 10% off. These sales don't come out just like that. Service and maintenance, emergency repairs, installations, replacements, indoor air quality, you name it, they got it. Mini splits, duct work. Check it out. Comfort X HVAC. All right, now. What else? We got one more. All right, the Tucson Family Food Project. Yeah, we've decided these are fajitas. What is that? There's like an alien in the background, though. All right, if you donate to this, they're not going to give the alien, but they're going to probably try to get meal kits going on. You see that alien, that thing? I think it's an alien. Do you see it?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of creepy, actually. But either way, 255 meal kits per week, 1,000 meal kits per week in 2026 is the goal. Donations made with AZ12 comment will be matched up to $10,000. We love Cheryl on this. Cheryl is amazing. Direct aid plus life skills development, cooking, nutrition. They've got it. Okay. Now, Brogan, Arizona's got to be able to run the ball in this game. Colorado sucks, and Colorado was able to run the ball. And if you watch, did you watch that game? I can't remember. Were you watching that game? Colorado ASU?
No.
Okay. So Colorado was going in to win, or Colorado was going to take the lead midway through the third quarter, and they're running the ball all over them. And then the problem was, then Dion went to Marshall Falk and told him that he wanted to change it up, and they put a running back in that had never had a college carry, and he fumbles the ball, and it goes back the other way. It changed everything. Probably the least surprising thing Dion's done as a coach. Arizona's got to be able to run the ball. And I believe they will be able to run the ball. That has been a strength of the team pretty much all season. And, even when people were kind of up and down about the O-line, like you were saying, though, they've always been able to run the ball. Between those three guys, Arizona's got to really put some hurt into them.
Well, and Noah's job gets significantly easier when they're successful running the ball. It sets up play action. It slows your defensive line down a little bit, gives them a little more time. I'm not worried about us running the ball at all. I think that's kind of been the calling card for this team. And if you look at Daigie's time pre-Arizona, his offenses were run heavy first and then pass second. We need the receivers to show up. We need Hudson. Another third awesome game in a row would be great.
Yeah.
But we got to avoid kind of our patented 3-4 drops a game, which is like, top 15 in the country type things. But if they can run the ball, the game gets so much easier for Fafita, which,
right,
compared to ASU, if they can't run the ball, they're relying on Sims. If we run the ball decent to well, then Noah's job becomes easy. And then all of a sudden we're a normal offense scoring a bunch of points. And so I don't know what ASU is going to do to attack Arizona defensively, because Arizona's shown they can run the ball on better defenses than ASU. And so they're going to have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, is that Noah, this is the first time in the season, too, where the receivers are actually been making plays for Arizona, though. They've been making, like we talked about, they've been making those 50-50 catches, where earlier in the year it's felt like the ball had to be right there and they had to be wide open for they to be sure of a catch. But Chris Hudson made some huge catches. Chris Hunter made some huge catches as well. Yeah, and you just see it, too. Like, when you've got guys like that, it is a, like I said, it's a real advantage. Let me ask you this. Or go ahead. I'm going to go.
No, I was going to say, and I think part of the receiver unit getting better too. I think it all comes back to comfort in the offense. A lot of it is, and Daigie talked about this a couple weeks ago. A lot of it is Noah's reads. Is he making the right reads? Is he getting the ball out on time? And all of those things. And so I think finally, closer to the end of the season, you're starting to see Noah have a full grasp of the offense. The reads are better. The timing's better. And now the receivers are kind of matching that by making some tough catches, and offense is great.
I put this out there, and I don't really want to beat up people, but I'm about to say about how historically bad was Dino Babers last year when you look at it. Noah Fafita under Jed Fish and Seth Daigie has looked like an all-conference, has been one of the better quarterbacks in the country by any metric. Last year he looked completely lost. How bad was Dino Babers?
Well, and not so much that, but you had T-Mac. And so not only were you historically bad on offense and you were running 5-second delayed handoffs where your line block for 2 seconds. But you had the best receiver in the country, who's awesome as a rookie in the NFL, and your offense was still terrible. So I don't understand. Again, I get why Brennan made the hire. It was a little later in the hiring cycle, and
I'm not even blaming Brennan at this point. I'm just talking about how bad Babers was. That's all.
Yeah, and to Brennan's credit, he moved on from a midseason, but you've only got so many internal options at that point. But yeah, it was about as bad of a hire as you could make. In fact, I would have rather had Brennan calling plays. I know it's not his forte, but
yeah, but it couldn't have been worse for sure. Right. So, but I give him a lot of credit though for moving on and getting somebody that knows what he's doing in Deggy. Now, let me ask you this about special teams. ASU has terrible special teams, so we cannot kick anymore. I am 100% okay with going for it on fourth down instead of kicking, no matter the results. I don't go that far. But I'm not sure. I will tell you this. On fourth down, I would be very aggressive. That's the best way I put it. Now, listen, if it's 4th and 13 and you have the ball at the opponent's 22-yard line, I'm going to kick that. But, man, anything 4th and 5 and under, 4th and 6 and under, Brogan, I'm going for, man.
I think it used to be you always kicked. And then the game slowly started shifting to where coaches would go for it more. Now you got coaches going for it on 4th and 1 from their own 30.
Right.
And so I think the attitude of coaches has shifted. I think in big games, it shifts even more because points are at a premium.
Right.
And so you'd rather go for 7 if it's 4th and short. So I think that'll be Arizona's game plan. If they've got 4th and 5 or less, and a field goal's 40+ yards, I think you're going to see them go for it more often than that. It'll be completely situational at that point.
Right.
Obviously time will dictate some of that. But, one thing I will say about Brennan is he's a player's coach.
Right.
And if he's going to kick 3 field goals if that's what the situation dictates, because he's going to say that he trusts his kicker. Like that's how he rolls.
Now your guy Dick Wilson says 4th and 3 from ASU's 18, down 28-26 with 25 seconds left. I'm kicking it. I mean, yeah.
Right,
you got to kick it. Salgado Medina is fascinating to me because this dude can literally boot 55-yarders in the fourth quarter into the wind, and it would have been good from 65. But then if it's a 30-yard field goal with, no conditions, he's going to shank that thing right, 25 feet. I don't know that I've ever – because generally when we've had bad kickers here, they've just sucked across the board. And I'm not comparing. Like Zendejas. Zendejas was just awful at everything he did. The Salgado Medina, you can see where he is you can see where, there's some leg talent, but man, it's fascinating to watch such a mercurial up and down.
When I think my issue is more his misses are bad.
Bad.
It's not like he's hitting the uprights or, he's missing 10, 15 yards left. He's snap hooking them. So I don't know if it's timing. Snaps are just off a little bit, holds down a hair late, hair early, and he's flinching. I don't know what it is, but it's hard to it's hard to trust your kicker when the misses are so bad. But in a game like this, you're going to need points. Arizona can't not kick field goals under 40 yards.
Right. You've got to kick.
You can't. You got to kick those.
Because at the end of the day, I'll come down to this. It's kind of like if somebody says, well, if you can't get it on 4th and inches from the goal line or whatever, for a touchdown, you don't deserve to win. If I don't have a field goal kicker, and again, I don't mean it to be like that, but if I don't have a field goal kicker that can make under 40 yards, and that's on me. At the end of the day, that's on me. We'll see how it plays out.
It'll be interesting to see if they move on and get a new kicker next. Isn't he only a sophomore?
Yeah, I think he's only a sophomore. So I mean, because he's got leg. The thing about him, he's got leg talent. I mean, when you look at him, some of the kicks he's made have been amazing. So I can see where it's just you just got to make the ones. I will always say this: I've always felt the coaches that don't, and this obviously isn't the situation here, but I've always felt that the coaches, and Kevin Woodman and I used to argue about this all the time, that say, I don't care about a kicker. I can just go find a kicker. Meanwhile, I need to get a 4th string safety. That's all crap. That's all macho, cool guy talk. Because at the end of the day, a kicker is going to matter a lot more than your 4th string safety. I'm sorry, period.
Well, and in college especially, you have so many scholarships available that, to your point, you can sacrifice your 9th wide receiver or your 4th safety. Maybe not O-line, D-line. Maybe you don't sacrifice there, but there's enough scholarships available for you to have a kicker who's dependable for sure. And Arizona historically has had really, really good kickers.
Yeah, for sure.
We just also had some clunkers.
We are kicker you. Now, I will say this: T Burns 826. Brennan screwed up by not giving Justin Spears the long snapping position. I mean, that is one thing that I will say about that. Yes, agreed. Okay, now we're going to get to some basketball as well because we are a basketball school. We're going to go around the country as well here because Brogan needs to take a victory lap on a team that is not lost yet, but I think people are starting to come to this point of view. But first, got to get a couple reads in. What do we got, Cody? Talk to me. Talk to me. 88 crime. Now you might see somebody and you're like, "What the heck's going on over there? I don't want to have to deal with anything." And you're like, "All right, 88 crime, 882-7463. It's anonymous. Pima County Attorney's Office. Maybe you see somebody walking around and they're stealing stuff, and you're like, "Man, I don't want anything to do with that, but I better. We need to get those guys off the streets." Call 88 crime. They will take care of it. They've solved thousands of cases. Again, check it out. 88 crime. All right, Brogan, front pipe. When was the last time you checked it to make sure it was still intact and utilized and working?
I think it was on the post game a few days ago, right?
All right, wow, you were checking your front pipe on the post game show. Holy moly, I don't want to know about that. Maybe Ben One was interested, but not me. Yeah, residential and commercial, licensed, bonded, and insured, sewer line coating, point repairs, water heater, drain cleaning, sewer inspections, gas, water, sewer repairs, you name it, they've got it. 24/7 service. 10% off when you mention the AZ12 podcast. Call 520-603-3817 to schedule service today. Danny Foster is the man. Check it out. All right, Land the Man, master plan, dental championship package, 1997. Land says that Thatcher has basically run small school football for since eternity. Sean Brogan, you take umbrage with this from Land the Man.
Yeah. I think this whole thing is hilarious, actually. What if we find out down the road that it actually really is his sister and it gets like double flipped on us?
Oh, yeah, no, that would be really good. He's running counterintelligence on us. He's like putting a plot and then he's like getting us around and then, yeah. So, okay. All right. Now, owned by Arizona local alumni, only offers necessary treatment. You don't got to go to Thatcher to get this done. You can go here to get it done, and it is only $19.97. Okay, ask about the championship package for dental implants. Offers only necessary treatment. Check it out. Okay, boom. Now, Joseph Delgado in the comments is obsessed with BYU. And he brings him up every day in the comments. And he says, "I'll never forget when Mike was doing his best to convince us that BYU was a better team than us 2 weeks ago. Then we wash Florida, UCLA, and UConn, and now his tone has changed." All I'm going to say is this, Joseph. I think Arizona and BYU are the two best teams in the Big 12. BYU did lose a starter, and BYU lost to UConn by 2 without their big man. So, that's where I will leave it at that. We shall see. Right now, though, Arizona looks really good. And I think Arizona's better because I don't think BYU. I think they took a lot with. I think they took a lot of loss with the Kennard Davis going out, even though he's their fifth guy. But Arizona last night, all I wanted Braden Burries and I wanted Dwayne Aristode to get going and to be aggressive. I don't care if they missed shots. I wanted them to take them and be aggressive, and they did just that, Brogan. Plus, Denver's awful.
Yeah, Denver. That was the first game this year where the size was like pretty dramatic and like, man, Arizona's big, but they're small. Right. And so, you could see from early on, Arizona was just going to run away with it. They started pressing and turning them over left and right. But yeah, this game was strictly about Aristode. They're going to need him in moments next, the rest of this year, make a couple threes, play some defense, whatever, get spot minutes. Karchenkov was really good in this game as well.
Right.
But Burries
awesome.
is the one. In order to win a national title, they need Burries to become that third guy behind, Bradley and Koa. And so, to your point, he was aggressive early, hit a couple shots, had the monster dunk. And so it feels like this was a good game for him to get more comfortable, just given the fact that, Denver's a clear 5 tiers down from Arizona.
Right.
But we need his confidence up going into the Auburn-Alabama swing. The thing that's interesting about Burries is not so much the Florida game because he was in foul trouble, but he comes out pretty much every game aggressive.
Yeah.
Then if he misses a few shots, picks up a foul, he kind of shuts down a little bit, loses confidence in that game, and then you don't really see or hear much from him. And so they got to figure out how to keep his confidence high. Maybe it's he's not so aggressive early and he lets the game come to him a little more so he can kind of roll into it, or he's got to shoot 8 or 10 shots in the first half and just we got to deal with the consequences. But at some point, we're going to need him to play like, a top 15 player in the country coming in like he was in order for them to.
And I think, and again, like I said, I mean, I don't need him to average 15 a game. I need him to average 10 a game and be solid. Like I said, like you said, be that third option. Right now with Jaden Bradley, right now with Koa Pete, what you're going to get. I need him to become that third option. If he becomes that third option, Arizona's in really good shape. It was cool too seeing Aristote. You can tell Aristote can play. He's just getting in. It's going to take him a little bit a while, but. The people that are saying that Dwayne sucks, this and that, I mean, when you don't play for 16 months, you're going to have some issues. I liked what I saw from him yesterday. Granted, it's Denver. I'd like to see him keep that moving.
Yeah, and the thing with Dwayne is we're going to have to learn to appreciate the player he is,
right,
and the player he'll become. He's not somebody you're going to give the ball to, ISO on the wing, cross you over, beat you off the dribble, and get to the bucket. He's not that. Now, can he make open threes? He's shown now 2 games now that he can get hot from 3, which, again, they're going to need shooting, right? They saw the first half last night, and in all 3 of the big games, we haven't had the ability to really make threes yet in games that matter. And so for him, he's long, he's athletic, he can defend, he can rebound, he can hit open threes. This team needs a 3-and-D guy. Mm-hmm. And so as he continues to evolve and get more comfortable playing again, if he becomes a 3-and-D guy, he's a perfect fit for what this team needs.
All right. Brogan is probably the best shooter in the city when it comes to basketball, but Brogan and I are generally on the same page when it comes to spacers in college. Dennis Walsh asked, is Brogan a spacer? Brogan, I'll let you speak for yourself.
So if this is perfect timing for this, because we were just talking about this the other day. If you look at the last 5 national champions, none of them made 10 threes a game.
Right.
And one of them made 6.5 threes a game, 7 threes a game was the least, but 8 threes a game is the sweet spot to win a national title.
Right.
Arizona's averaging like 6. After yesterday, it's probably 6.5 or 7 because they made some yesterday. But shooting in college basketball, I don't want to say it's overrated because it's got the potential for upsets. And when you see the guy from Oakland come out and make 10 threes in a game and they upset some in the first round of the tournament, it's the ultimate neutralizer for mid-majors.
Right.
But when you're one of the best teams in the country and you can score 85 points a game without making threes, I think that's a testament, 1, to Tommy's offense, 2, to how much they can rebound, an offensive rebound, and get to the bucket and get to the free throw line and all those things. Now, if Arizona starts making threes, they're the best team in the country by a decent margin if they start making threes. But what they've shown is you can be effective in college basketball, be one of the top teams in the country without having to be dependent on the 3.
Yeah, and I think that's you said, I mean, I'm not going to worry about offense with Tommy. I'm going to worry the things that, that they basically, I'm going to worry about and what they've been great at this year, rebounding, defense, toughness. Because at the end of the day, I don't have a problem with Tommy's offense. Tommy's smart enough to be able to get the offense that he needs. And, that's just kind of where I'm at. Now, the NBA, when it comes to shooting, is a totally different animal. These are professionals. You have to be able to make shots. It just is what it is. 18, 19, 20-year-olds are going to they're going to have off games. That's just the way it is. How can you beat a team? And what I like about this team, though, is that they've shown that they can beat teams without making threes. I mean, they've, and their offenses still look pretty good at the same time because of how they're constructed, how they're built.
And they were 2 for 5 against Florida,
right?
2 for 12, I think, against UCLA or UConn, one of the two. And so, again, making threes matters, but it's not the number one priority. This team is rebounding, offensive rebounding, and get to the free throw line, shoot 55% from 2 or whatever they're shooting.
All right, people are making fun of Mo Krivas again. We need to address this. I don't know what people want out of Mo Krivas. I mean, against UConn, he was really, really good. Against UCLA, he was really, really good. What are we expecting out of Mo Krivas that we are not getting?
Nothing. Again, we talked about this last game. He's going to be this year's KJ Lewis, which is he's going to be the most underappreciated good player we have on the team this year. The splits with him on the court and off the court are insane. Defense is significantly better when he's on the court. But who cares what he did against Denver? Denver stinks.
Nobody cares. Yeah, let's look at UCLA, UConn. Those are better ones to match it up with. And if you want to say that he wasn't good against Florida, cool. But Denver, Dude, they just wanted to get these guys out of there and get other people in there. I don't really. Denver, I put nothing into that. And Krivas has been more than good enough.
And what makes this Arizona team so good is when Krivas has a clunker game, Awaka usually doesn't.
Yeah.
And so Awaka had 10 and 15, hit a 3, which was awesome, and looked normal doing it.
Yeah.
But Awaka had 12 and 15, 10 and 15, whatever it was. If that's what we get with Krivas' bad games, great.
Yeah.
We're good.
Right. I will definitely. I will take that. Now let's look around the country here a little bit. Did you watch the Texas ASU game last night?
I watched the first half and a little bit of the second half.
Here's what I'm going to say about ASU. This is my first time actually watching them. If Tommy Lloyd was coaching them, they'd be really good. They've got good players. The tall African kid, he's definitely good. I think he's a little overhyped, but he looks like he's got NFL potential, MNBA potential. Mo Odom is really, really good. That was a really good pick. And that Pig Williams or whatever his name is, he's good. They actually have good players. The problem, though, is that Bobby Hurley is your coach. If Tommy Lloyd was their coach, I think they would be a tournament team.
Well, and if the Texas team, again, Miller, awesome coach, I get that, but he's still got to figure out how to make his pieces fit. Right now, the pieces don't fit great. If they
and
play
it's his first year there, I mean,
yeah. If they played in 3 months, I think Texas smokes them. Actually,
I agree.
But ASU is definitely going to be competitive in the Big 12. They're not going to win a ton of games, but they're going to upset a few decent teams. They have enough talent. Their guards are pretty good. They got length and athleticism.
Yeah.
So they're definitely an intriguing team again. They're not great, but they're not Colorado and Utah and some of the other.
That's why if I'm ASU, though, I really want to get rid of Hurley just because I think I think he's shown you can get decent talent in there, but it doesn't really matter if you've got a coach that doesn't really coach or anything. I mean, they just kind of do what they do. Okay. Now, Houston. Houston is not that good. They're good. They're good. But this is a top 15 team. This is not a top 3 to 4 team in there. They were taken down to the wire in overtime against Syracuse that didn't have its best player. Houston's going to struggle this year. Again, struggle is relative because, again, they're still a top 15 team. I get that. But this is not the Houston of the previous 3-4 years.
No, and I think the hardest thing for somebody like Houston, and this is what makes Kelvin Sampson awesome, the hardest thing to replace and replicate is the physicality, the toughness, the attitude, the edge. And he's been able to do that for the last couple of years. But when you lose guys like Juwan Roberts and, some of the kind of heart and soul of the team and you replace it with freshmen,
right?
I don't think it's hard to replace, right? They were dependent on Tugler replacing Juwan Roberts. Tugler's better defensively, but
Tugler's a 5 and 6 guy who's really good at defense. That has its limitations.
Right. And he'll impact a game because he's great on defense. He's active. He can block shots, but it's limited in how much he can impact the game.
Right.
Harwell, total non-factor so far. Fleming's been better than anticipated. Senak's been good.
Fleming's was really good. Fleming's,
yeah, and
I'm surprised by him. Yeah, for sure.
But if Harwell's not good, then all of a sudden your depth becomes one guy off the bench. That's all you get. And you're depending on
Master P's kid is like one of their backups too.
Yeah, he doesn't play much in the game.
He plays like 8 to 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think they'll be better come March just because the freshmen are going to have a whole season underneath them, kind of like Arizona will, oddly enough, even though Arizona's beaten everybody. But the problem I have with Houston is unless Uzan's an All-American, then they're relying on him and Sharp to be what Cryer was last year, which is getting you shots, hitting threes, all of those things. They don't really have that now this year is the problem.
Right. Uzan is the only guy, and again, Fleming's is really good, but he's also a 180-pound freshman, so, take that for what it's worth. Uzan is the one dude. They need Uzan to be an All-American. If Uzan's not an All-American, then they're very limited. Emmanuel Sharp could be in college now. He could be in college 15 years from now, and he will be the exact same player. Not saying that's bad, but he's a one-dribble pull-up guy. If he's trying to dribble more than that, the ball's gone. He's and Cryer was the dude that made a ton of plays for them last year off the bounce, and I just don't think they replaced that. And
what Syracuse showed yesterday was, and again, it's one game, I get it, but Syracuse basically showed that this isn't the Houston team of the last 2 or 3 years where they're just going to physically overwhelm you.
Right.
That's what they showed yesterday.
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
Today's Tennessee game will be another good test. I kind of think Houston bounces back, but
Right.
it's going to be a close game.
What did Ament do yesterday?
He was good. He had like 20.
All right, anybody out there that hasn't seen this guy is good. I think he's the third best MNBA prospect in the more kids, Percy or Brogan. Actually, Percy. Yeah, Brogan is for
Depends which Brogan you're talking about, but I only have 3 kids.
You only have 3 kids. What is the Brogan in the family that has the most kids? Getting the most front pipe utilization. Who is that?
My older brother has 11 kids. My older sister has 8.
Holy moly! Wow, man.
And my 2 younger brothers have 5.
Their wombs must look like Dresden after World War II, man. That's impressive stuff, giving birth to 11 kids. You're just permanently pregnant at that point. That's pretty impressive. I like it. Good stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, now, looking around then, again, I think Kansas is a little bit better. We talked about this. I think Kansas is a little bit better than I thought. The problem, though, with Kansas is that I don't love the situation they're in with Peterson now. When your dad gets involved and he starts telling the coach when he's going to play and not play, that to me is a massive concern. Because that's a little league dad situation. I look at it and they're good, but they're not Arizona good.
No, and if Peterson plays, they're significantly better because he's the one offensive guy that they have that's like, go get me a bucket. Without him, they don't have that guy. Self's awesome, so they'll be competitive, they'll be good. But Torres came on your podcast and basically made the comment about load management for Peterson, and I think everybody kind of glossed over that.
Yeah.
But then what you find out behind the scenes is that his dad is basically saying, look, if he's got even wakes up with even the slightest soreness in his hamstring, he's not playing.
Dude,
so,
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's becoming load management, which is insane in college. I start to wonder how much of Peterson's going to turn out to be Ace Bailey with the draft, where instead of going 1 or 2, he goes 4 or 5.
Right,
because
people are like, all right, you're better than where you're going to be drafted, but is this a headache that I really want to have to deal with at this point? Now, so I look at Arizona, like I said, this is for Joseph and Dennis. I look at it and I'm like, I think Arizona and BYU are the 2 best teams in the conference. I know they lost Kennard Davis. I get all that. Debanza is a difference maker, though. There's nobody in the country like Debanza.
No, I think those 2 are clearly the one. BYU is going to get better as the season goes on, just because they're going to figure their rotation out a little more.
Don't they have the guy coming in too from like the WNBA or not the WNBA?
JUCO. He was like the JUCO Player of the Year, but he's redshirting.
No, I thought they had a guy coming in from the G League after the semester.
No, that's for next year.
Oh, is that for next year? Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, but they're not as deep as Arizona, though, and I think that's Arizona has quality depth, and that's why I think it's really important to get Dwayne going and to be able to have ADO do his thing, because I already know with ADO, I know with Tobe, I'm getting high-level backups coming off the bench, and that's what separates Arizona from a lot of different teams.
Yeah, and I think Awaka especially is physicality, elite rebounder, can finish around the rim pretty good. So ADO comes off the bench, can get hot. I mean, he's already proven in a couple games that he can make shots. And so if you add Aristote as that third competent bench player, all of a sudden you've got your guard off the bench in ADO, you got your wing in Aristote, you got your big in Awaka. You've kind of solved everything with the exception of the point guard position, but I think Tommy has proven in these lesser big games that Burries is the backup point guard, and he's going to get a bunch of minutes there so that in these big games he can go with Burries as his backup point guard.
All right, let's get a couple more reads in here. What do we got? Talk to me. Come on, Cody. Bring back the reads. Okay. Welcome to the Rock. Oh, I like that. Brogan circumventing Maya.
Double static.
One more. Yes. 2 convenient locations, Tucson plus Green Valley, 50 plus locally sourced landscaping materials, serving residents and contractors, east to Benson, Sierra Vista, west to Marana, south to Nogales, north to Oracle. Yeah, that was stereostatic, Brogan. That was impressive stuff. That was like when you were like going through like the Himalayas or something and you start losing signal and it's just yeah, no, that was driving through the Himalayas. Like people just do that on the weekends. Hey, honey, you want to go to the Himalayas this weekend? It's a heck of a drive. Yeah. Hey, you drive don't you drive to St. George, Utah in one day?
Mm-hmm.
What is that, like a 14-hour drive?
No. Salt Lake's like a 12-hour drive. St. George
Oh.
is like a 8-hour drive.
Oh, that's no, that's impressive. Okay. So, all right, now check it out. 50 plus locally sourced landscaping materials. All right, Green Valley Decorative Rock. Welcome to the Rock. Okay. Now, what else we got? All right, RJ's Frozen Cactus, Red Hot Beer Ice or Red Hot Sports Ice Cold Beer. Huge parking lot. Harry Lex and Dennis Walsh were seen fighting over a parking spot there, trying to reverse out of it. Again, 100 craft beers plus $2 deals, pizza, wings, tacos, burgers, and more. No bad seats in the house. Check it out. RJ's Frozen Cactus, Red Hot Sports and Ice Cold Beer. It's a great spot to go. They got really good food as well. This isn't your typical bar food. It is good. All right, Bridge Tech Communications. Now, speaking of Dennis Walsh, this guy going around working out in these fly-by-night gyms where you got rats and rodents and all kinds of stuff that are probably going to give you rabies, or you're going to wake up and you got like a tail in your mouth or something. You don't want any of that. Bridge Tech Communications. They are going to, if you have a gym out there and you really want to push the Bridge Tech Communications out there, check it out. Bridge Tech Communications promotes 100-plus health entities and 750% average ROI. Dennis Walsh, the gym you go to, you should absolutely tell them that you want to that they should use Bridge Tech Communications because it would help out their business a great deal. BridgeTechCommunications.com. Check it out.
Maybe you should connect Bridge Tech with the tattoo trainer.
Oh, I was going to say that's actually, yeah. I was going to say like cross advertising. That's not a bad idea. Yeah. Hey, Brogan, you want to do the post-game show for the Territorial Cup? There's no reason you can't.
Maybe.
It's a late game. There's no reason you can't.
I'll let you know tonight for sure.
Will you be in Temple?
No.
Okay, because it's like a 7:30 kickoff. You won't be in Temple, though. Or Temple, or what do you guys go to?
No, I'm not Jewish, so I won't be at Temple.
What do you guys go to?
Church.
Oh, all right. Well, church. All right. So you won't be in. All right. Iglesia.
And on Sunday, not Friday.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, why would you be in Temple on Friday? First of all, you're not Jewish and it doesn't occur on Friday. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Now, all right. Arizona ASU, before give us a prediction here. What are you looking for?
Arizona's winning for sure. I'm going to go 30-17.
Oh my gosh, this is terrible, but Sheer just messaged me. All right, so everybody out there, so there's this guy that stays up in the press box, and people have to sit next to him, and he farts the entire game. Literally just farts the entire time, and somebody always has to stay next to him. I guess he just perished. Holy moly, that's how I want to go though. So wow, that's tough. Okay. All right, let's see. Also, go to Little Caesars, everybody. Code 1099 bundle, classic pepperoni or cheese pizza, crazy bread, and 2-liter soda. Code LCFREECC. Free crazy combo with a pizza purchase. Check it out. Yes, Dennis Walsh says, I live by the Mormon temple. It's pretty. Yeah, that thing's amazing. What is that on, like Skyline?
Mm-hmm. Right by La Encantada.
Yeah, I can see that. No, I can see that thing. They see it from like the moon. That's how big it is. It's very impressive. Okay. On that note, though, for John Brogan,
are you doing your prediction or did you do it already?
Yeah, I'm going to do it later on in the week. I still got to do more shows. We didn't know that you're going to. Although you're off this week, aren't you?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. I think Arizona's going to win. I think it's 31-24.
Okay. I got 30-17.
All right, well, I'll take it. Yeah, either way, we're going big with that one. And what a great offseason that would be going into that as well. If you could go into the offseason and you could say, hey, guess what? This is what we did. Very, very impressive, Brogan. I will take it.
Yeah, and it gives you a leg up with some of the in-state recruiting as, they're coming off their bowl thing, and we had a better season this year.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, we are signing off. We will be back with you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Okay, wait, what did I miss? Oh, Lane Allen, we were talking about Thatcher. Brogan says you're full of it. Brogan also put back a counterintelligence theory that this actually is your sister and you've been running misdirection on the ads, Brogan. I actually kind of like that one as well. We talked about Brogan won't be in church on Friday night, so he might be able to do the post game. A lot of different or Temple, sorry. But on that note, though, for everybody in the chat, you guys are fantastic. Step off, Brogan. Land the man, dude. Land the man, dude. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Saying back off, buddy. Yeah. So, all right. On that note, though, for Brogan, for Barrett Baker, I am merely Mike Luke. Everybody in the comments, you guys are great. We will be back with you tomorrow. TTFN.